How's everybody? Glad to be in Huntsville. It's a great group up here. Usually one of our largest groups. We have great support here. We appreciate it. We've got some really good players from this area, and looking forward to getting some more in the future. So,
one of those guys, Reggie Ragland, looking to get some time at linebacker. Talk about the development that he's made since he's come to the program.
Well, Reggie's really done a nice job for us. He actually played last year on special teams. Got a high ankle sprain or whatever, missed a few games, which affected his development to some degree, but did a nice job in spring practice, and I think he's going to be a really good contributor for us this year.
Now that you've had some time to reflect on the spring, how are you feeling about the upcoming season?
Well, we have a long ways to go. Every year you kind of reinvent your team in terms of new opportunities for players that have departed the program or graduated or got drafted or whatever, and then you got new roles from a leadership standpoint, and I think in some parts of the team it's coming together very nicely. In other parts of the team, I think we have, a long ways to go, and I think that has a lot to do with, knowledge and experience and confidence that some of the players have at key positions in terms of their leadership and how they, kind of serve and impact other people. So, offensively, I was pretty pleased with the way that went. Defensively, we probably got a little ways to go, so we'll keep working on it.
Coach, your thoughts on the late Derek Thomas not getting into the College Football Hall of Fame?
Well, I think, in my opinion, Derek certainly, deserves the opportunity to get in there. I don't really know all the politics that go into, making those selections, but he's certainly one of the great players in Alabama history and did a lot to contribute to the tradition and success that we have had in our program in the past, and I think certainly deserves the opportunity to be recognized by the College Football Hall of Fame for it.
Coach, it seemed like there was some real selflessness for that last national championship game. When you're out recruiting, how can you tell a guy has the right character traits to become a champion?
Well, I think, that it's important that guys buy into the principles and values of the organization when you define them. And they make that choice because we recruit them and tell them what our expectation is going to be. But you can also tell a little bit the way guys talk, if it's all about them. Or is it about the team? Is it about the success? First question you ask, how'd you do in the game? The guy says, I scored 25 points, or we won. What does that tell you? So I think there's just little things all the time, but I think, in this day and age, because of internet and attention that people get, we sort of promote self-absorbed type attitudes. So I think we just have to work hard to try to get people to buy into the team concept and trust and respect the principles and values of the organization and the team. And for the most part, our guys do it because we've had really good leadership from the older guys who have had success doing it. So they sort of pass it, on down.
Coach, you talked about leadership. Talk about, as you were coaching, how you learned the leadership concept and how you try to install it into the players that you coach.
Well, I think the first thing about leadership is, it's not something that you can demand. You have to command it with the example that you set. So the first thing you better be ready to do is, be somebody that people want to emulate, not only in terms of how you teach and coach, but the kind of person that you are and the kind of principles and values and standards and priorities that, you establish for the players, in the program. So, and then you got to care about them. I've never coached a player that cared what I knew until he knew that I cared. So, and I think that's probably true of most players. And so you got to invest some time in trying to inspire them into doing the right things. And I also think that you got to make sure they understand how things impact them. If they want to be selfish and think about themselves, then they should understand how what they do impacts their future individually.
Obviously, a national championship is the ultimate goal, but is there something as a coach that you look at and you hope to see from these guys that you could take a second and say, okay, that was a successful season?
Well, our goal is that our team play the best of its ability. That every guy on our team, personally, academically, and athletically, is going to reach his full potential, and that's our challenge as a coach. That's our goal as a coach. And if we can do that, I think we can win a lot of games, and I think we can, sort of get into some big games, we're going to have an opportunity to make something happen. But 5 or 6 plays in the season is going to determine the difference in the season. You never know when they're going to come up, and you got to be ready for those by how you prepare, what you do, kind of condition you're in, kind of effort, toughness, discipline you play with. Lots of things go into it. Players got to understand that, and it takes a long time to get where you need to be so that you're always ready to make those plays.
Coach, the talk in Atlanta, at least from several of the coaches, was now that we have the SEC network, we'll be in everybody's home in California, Alaska, New York, et cetera. How do you, and you mentioned in-state recruiting in this area, recruiting, how do you balance now in-state recruiting with national recruiting? And is in-state still a separate priority for your staff?
Well, we have a standard for what we're looking for in players, in terms of the kind of people they are, the kind of character they have, the kind of academic history that they have, the kind of size and speed they have for the position, how they meet the critical factors to be successful at the position that we want to recruit them for or that they're suited for, and they have the physical ability to do that. I think it's not really good practice to recruit guys that you don't have a role for in your program where they have a chance to be successful. And, so that's what we try to do, and it really doesn't make any difference where they're from. I think we try to do a great job of finding every prospect in our state because it's important to us that those young men get an opportunity to come to Alabama. We also think it's really important that we do a good job in a 5-hour radius because that's kind of our home region, wherever that takes us. And then we're going to over-the-top recruit some of the better players in the country if they have interest in Alabama, which some of them do, some of them don't. So the whole idea is to get the highest caliber quality guys interested because recruiting is a numbers game. So the more good guys you have, if you get 1 out of 4 and you got enough of them up there, you're going to have a good year.
You have that for your 2013-14 season?
Excuse me?
Do you have that for your 2013-14 season?
Do I have what?
The stamina that you're looking for in players?
Not right now. If we did, we wouldn't have to have summer conditioning. We wouldn't have any fall camp. We wouldn't have any two-a-days. We wouldn't do any of that. We'd just show up and play the first game. So we're developing. We're improving. We have a long ways to go.
Has anybody pleasantly surprised you so far? Any of these younger guys?
Yeah, we had some guys that did a nice job, but, again, they have a long ways to go in terms of what they need to do, and we always encourage our players, praise our players, show them that we appreciate what they do. And we've got some guys that have made some really good progress, but you never know until they play the first game. Some players always play better in the game, other guys, don't. So we'll see how it goes.
A.J. McCarron's celebrity has kind of exploded, especially this offseason. How much give and take or teasing is there between you two about that?
Well, I just think A.J. can't, sort of put himself out there where people are going to criticize him if things don't go well for him. And I think he understands that, but I also think there's some opportunities for him to do some things that are really good experiences. Like I was the, whatever you call it, guy that drives a car around, Talladega, and, I thought that was a great thing for him to do. And I think some of the other stuff that, people put out there, some of it's true, some of it isn't, but, AJ's pretty mature about what's important to him and the importance of the next 365 days for him in terms of what he wants to accomplish for the University of Alabama and for his future.
Coach, a lot of your players got drafted in the NFL draft this year, and I know that you've talked to some of them. What did you tell them before the draft about their future endeavor in the NFL?
Well, that it really doesn't matter where they get drafted. Everybody's all geared up about where you get drafted, and, the most important thing is what kind of career you're going to have. You can be a first-round draft pick and be a bust, or you can be a 7th-round draft pick and make the Pro Bowl for the next 6 or 8 years. So that just gives you an opportunity to show what you can do. I think that we're hopeful that the players learned that the preparation, the attention to detail, the sense of urgency, the intelligence that they play with and the discipline they play with are all things that are going to help them be more productive, responsible, accountable type people in the NFL where they'll have a chance to keep a job for a while.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you,
All right,
Coach.
thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Appreciate
Y'all want
it.
to get some beer?